You had to have hatred or you couldn't go on. It took that hatred to keep you motivated. Otherwise, there'd be no point to it. You can't kill something you don't want to eat or kill. You got to have a reason. And hating them was all the reason I needed.
In 1943, the Allies tried to claw back the Pacific and Burma from the Japanese. Victory was still far away, and surrender seemed the last thing on Japanese minds.
We came to hate them as enemies because they killed friends. And I guess that's a more or less normal progression of feeling. But also they practiced atrocities. And they taught us to be atrocious ourselves.
That's a fire they won't put out. Remember Manila, Hong Kong, Nanking, and a few others, Mr. Nippon? You'd better duck.
An Australian-American attack on a Japanese convoy. With all 22 ships ablaze or sunk, the Allies turned their guns on the Japanese in lifeboats.
There's a boat. Tiny speck, center screen. The bow streams down at terrific speed. Miss. One tiny boat in a wide sea isn't so easy to hit.
Far from keeping quiet about this cold-blooded slaughter, the newsreels were proud of it.
Bullseye. And more Japs meet their ancestors.
It was easy for the propaganda merchants to deal with us, to turn us totally against Japan. They really didn't have to work very hard at it.
Oh, heard from Jimmy lately, Mr. Johnson?
Yes, had a letter last Tuesday. He's still out there trying to knock down Jap planes.
Well, I hope he gets plenty of them.
You don't seem to like Japs, Mrs. Murdoch.
I'd like to see them and their whole country wiped right off the face of the earth.
It was easy to hate someone who, in addition to being your enemy militarily, is also different racially.
The deserted Japanese quarters of America's West Coast cities.
Have to slap the dirty little Jap, and Uncle Sam's the guy who can do it. We'll skin that sneaker.
From the start of the Pacific War, America had rounded up citizens of Japanese descent.
We'll take that double-crosser to the old woodshed.
The fear was that Japanese blood was thicker than water, that they could be spying for the enemy.
Wish that he was dead. We've got to slap a dirty little Jap.
One of the most shameful periods in American history. Never did we consider Germans the same way we considered Japanese. The grin, the slanty eyes, the glasses, because it had to be race, the Jap or the Nip. There may have been a Japanese spy here and there, as there was a Soviet spy or as there was a German spy, but as far as the people, a threat. They were so law-abiding, it wasn't even funny.
They took away babies, they took away grandpas and grandmas. Absolutely no military threats. There are no charges, no trial, no process of determining are you loyal or not. They're all put on trains, take what you can carry, that's all. You have to leave everything behind. That's where a Jap is a Jap kind of mentality comes from. They're all alike. Can't trust them. Americanism is not a matter of race or ancestry. The eyes may be, face may be Japanese, but the heart is American.
There were different internment camps they were sent to. And they called them relocation centers. We love euphemisms, you see. relocation centers. It was obscene.
110,000 people lost their homes, their livelihoods, and their freedom.
Was there a protest? I didn't. I'm ashamed to say.
America was in no mood for sympathy, with her cinema screens filled nightly with the sight of her boys risking their lives fighting the Japanese. The world came to see the war through the eyes of the cameramen who went into combat alongside them. Two Marine cameramen watch again what they filmed under fire 60 years ago. Bill Kelleher and Norman Hatch.
That would have been taken probably about 0500.
They went in with the US Marines on Tarawa, November 1943. Their cameras held only 1 minute of film.
It caused you to think very carefully about what you shot. Some of my first shots were taken right from that foxhole, just laying on the ground, and they were all huddled in. They didn't know what to do. It was chaotic. It really was.
See the helmet fly off there?
Yep. All I saw was what was going through that lens, and I didn't really get involved. If I saw somebody die, that was just a happenstance.
They got caught out in the open. Yeah. That's what happened.
Somebody yelled, "There they go," and I turned and shot. 30 seconds of film. Of course, they were immediately cut down.
Horrible way to go.
There was no restraint on what we shot. It's better to let somebody else make the decision on whether this is suitable for release or not release.
The battle for Tarawa climaxed with assaults on the Japanese command bunkers. Norman and Bill filmed in the thick of it.
Man, oh man. We lived through it, kid. We were lucky.
Yeah.
We were lucky.
Up till then, it had been deemed acceptable to screen footage of dead bodies only if they were Japanese. The decision to show these shots of dead Marines was taken at the highest level.
The question was brought up to the president whether or not he should release this, because we show dead bodies, we show them floating, but he wanted to send sort of a jolt to the public and say, hey, look, what you're doing here is in support of these guys that are dying like this over there.
These are Marine dead.
Sales of war bonds surged, Marine recruitment fell.
This is the price we have to pay for a war we didn't want.
People were dying constantly. Notices were posted every week, I guess. Of course, there were stars in people's windows.
There was a blue star for everyone in the house who had enlisted.
First there were blue stars, and then they got to be gold stars when people died.
In Japan, too, the women were grieving.